Greetings. Today we begin section number 18 of our study of the book of 1 Peter. We're in chapter 2. We'll be considering verses 19 and 20 in this message. It's entitled Accepting Unjust Suffering. Accepting Unjust Suffering. 1 Peter 2:19 says, "For this is thankworthy, if a man for conscience toward God endure grief, suffering wrongfully. For what glory is it if, when you be buffeted for your thoughts, you shall take it patiently? But if when you do well and suffer for it, you take it patiently, this is acceptable with God." This should prove to be a very interesting and also informative topic for the generation in which we live. I call it the me first generation. The let me do whatever I want and do not make me suffer any consequences for it generation. We've looked at the particular purchased possession people living honestly to honor God, submitting to God's ordained government, using liberty correctly, and then that brings us here to accepting unjust suffering. And then we'll look at exemplifying Christ's unjust suffering. And finally, we'll look at the just suffering for the unjust. How often do God's people suffer for doing the wrong things? How often is God's work reproached by such conduct? I fear that too few, quote, professing Christians, end quote, are actually following these instructions today. By this I mean that very little suffering that goes on today is because we're doing right things on Christ's account. 1 Peter 2:19 literally says, "This grace, if anyone he's enduring griefs, plural, through agency of conscience of God, suffering wrongfully, that is without cause." We should make special note of the fact that griefs is plural. The dictionary did not even recognize the plural as being correct, only the singular grief. This should not be a one-time event in our lives. Let us be fully aware that we're leading into the very famous passage upon which the whole, quote, "what would Jesus do," end quote, concept was founded. Jesus taught in the Sermon on the Mount that such suffering would be part of serving him. We will look at Matthew 5:1 through 12, commonly called the Beatitudes. The attitudes which every child of God should possess that describe their existence. Matthew 5:1 says, "And seeing the multitudes, he went up into a mountain, and when he was set, his disciples came unto him. And he opened his mouth and taught them, saying," the time, the place, the setting, and the topic were all chosen by Jesus. In verse 3, he begins, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted." Now, verses 3 through 5 appear to be related to Isaiah chapter 57 and verse 15, where it says, "For thus saith the high and lofty one that inhabiteth eternity, whose name is holy. I dwell in the high and holy place, with him also that is of contrite and humble spirit, to revive the spirit of the humble, and to revive the heart of the contrite ones."